What's going on, guys? So what I wanted to do this time was build the ultimate surf shark rod. What I did was compile the best components that I thought would come together to make the best setup for catching sharks from the surf. Alright, so I'm going to start with the rod. The rod I selected was the Ugly Stick Big Water of 15 foot. Now I chose this rod for 3 reasons. Number one is that it's 15 feet, which is essentially the longest surf rod variation you can get. I've heard stories of rods longer than 15 feet, but I've never seen any for sale. The second reason is that this rod is rated for 4 to 10 ounce lures, which is really heavy. I've never seen a surf rod rated for anything higher than 10 ounce lures. So between those two things, this rod is going to get you the furthest casting distance with heavy baits than any other rod on the market, which is very important when you're shark fishing because you're casting heavy baits, bluefish fillets, big pieces of herring attached to really heavy pyramid sinkers, and you need to get them out past the first bar. So those two things are key. And another thing I really like about this rod is that the guides are pure metal. There's no graphite inserts that'll end up getting shattered from wear, and then those sharp edges caused by the shattering of the insert ends up cutting the braid. I can't stand that about surf rods, so I really like that this is just a pure metal guide, which you'll never have that problem. Next we're going to move on to the reel. I chose the Penn Spinfisher 5 10,500 version, which is the largest one they make, and as far as I'm concerned, this is the largest spinning reel on the market. And that's the main reason I chose it, just because it holds a tremendous amount of line. It holds 750 yards of 50-pound braid, and it puts down 40 pounds of drag. So this is an absolutely monstrous spinning reel, the biggest I've seen on the market. I'm not sure if some are bigger, but at least for the money, this is the biggest, beefiest spinning reel you're going to get, which is important when you're horsing in big sharks. Now onto the line. I picked 65-pound Power Pro braid as the main line, and I got 300 yards of that. And for the backing, I chose 50-pound mono. And I know that's really heavy for the backing, and it's going to make tying the uni knot a little difficult, but I just really wanted the backing to be heavier than the drag setting, than the max drag setting of the reel, which is 40 pounds, so I wanted 50 pounds. I wanted all the line to be over the max drag setting. So 65-pound main line, backed by 50-pound mono.
Okay, this is the math I used to calculate how much backing to put on before putting the main line on. Now the main line we're using is 65-pound braid, and the total spool capacity with 65-pound braid is 670 yards. Now we only have 300 yards of the 65-pound braid to put on as the main line, so that makes up 44.7% of the spool's capacity with 65-pound braid. So this leaves 55.3% of the spool's total capacity for the backing. Because the spool's total capacity using 50-pound mono is 255 yards, since we're only using 55.3% of the spool's total capacity, that comes out to 141 yards. However, that's irrelevant. All we need to know is that we need to back up 55.3% of the total spool with the backing before we put the main line on. Now I'm going to leave a margin of error just so we don't overfill the spool, and I'm going to round the 55.3% down to 50%. Which means I'm going to fill the spool's capacity up halfway with the backing and then attach the main line to the backing and fill up the rest of the spool.
Okay, so this is the spool. Now the spool is split up into 3 sections representing equal amounts of line. You can see there. So what I'm going to do to fill it up exactly halfway is fill up the whole first section up to the line, and then halfway through the second section, and that'll be half of the spool's capacity. Alright, so I'm going to tie the mono to the base of the spool with a basic square knot. And even though it has this rubber catch, I'm still going to put a little electrical tape on it just to be safe. There we go. I'm just using electrical tape to hold the mono ends in place. Alright, I'm going to start the double uni knot with the braid. So I make my loop. Line up the mono with the braid, top of the loop. And then just run it around. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, pull that side tight. And we do the same thing with the mono side. There we go. Grab the tag end of the mono. Okay. So got the uni knot there. All right. Now grab the main line of each and the main line of that and pull everything together. And there's the double uni knot. There goes the knot in. Alright, this is the finished product. It's pretty heavy, so it's not something I can do a lot of like just surf casting with, but it should get the job done for the big sharks off the surf. So there it is. I think it looks pretty nice.